All right, hello everybody. Let's jump into this stream, shall we? Okay, as you guys can see from the score, look at this. Okay, it's 26 to 48. There's still 10 minutes to go in the game, but I mean, this one, how much longer is this game going to go before we realize, okay, this one's over? I think like the back end, here's one thing that everybody's just gonna whatever forget. Okay, a lot of Oregon starters. Well, who knows? Maybe Lanning got pissed enough he put him back in. But whoa, wrong button. Um, the starters for Oregon are not in anymore. Like offensively, yes, the starters are still in, but defensively, a lot of them have been sitting because I mean, let's go to the game cast here. Look at this. Look what the score was at one point. Now, again, that's not what the score is anymore. But with 5 straight touchdowns before halftime, it was 34 to 6. Okay, they score a touchdown, and then boom, boom. Oregon puts up 2 more touchdowns. And at one point, this thing was 48 to 13. And then at that point, yeah, I think this is when the starters got taken out. But then after this more recent touchdown by Dupree, maybe Lanning put the starters back out there. Still doesn't change the fact that Benson is still tearing up that secondary because he had another first down catch. But yeah, hello guys. Welcome back to another stream. We're gonna do this one early, just because with timing and everything. I wanna do this stream. I wanna give my kind of reaction per se. I want to give a reaction to. Oh my, like look at this. Where's the other thing? Okay, at win percentile. Right now Oregon's at 99.9999999%. The lowest it was at was 89%, but that's after Oregon scored their first touchdown to make it 6-0. All right. This is what I'm looking at, by the way. If y'all are curious, here we go. Let's show it. There we go. Anyways, but back to it. I wanted to give my reaction, even though this game's not over, and the Dukes are being pesky to Oregon. I wanted to give my reaction and just kind of open the floor for the chat to, if you got any questions, any hot takes on, hey, how do we feel about the group of 5? Do they belong? Do they not belong? So on and so forth. I wanted to go over that, kind of give my reactions, maybe preview next week a little bit when it comes to the college playoff, which, in fact, I'm glad that I reminded myself on that. So let's pull this up. Let's pull it up. Let's get it queued up and let's get it ready to go. This is right now currently, hopefully does this sit right? What if I scooch that over a little bit? Because you see how the left side. Okay, what if we zoom in one time? Zoom in one time, scoot over a little more. Yeah, close enough. Hold on, one more time. There you go. See, now at this point, oh my gosh. No, not this thumbnail. This was my reaction to the playoff. Yeah, if you guys want to sit through an hour and a half of me rambling on who I think gets to the national championship, go watch that game. Go watch that. But so Ole Miss wins, the Ducks win, Crimson Tide win. Okay, this is up to date. I'm still gonna sit on this prediction. I'm still gonna sit with how I still have Indiana and Georgia, and one of I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's one of the analysts that sits at the desk on CBS, and he also predicted this, and so because he predicted it, it's like, damn it, it's not going to happen. You jinxed it. But what I wanted to do also while giving my reaction and review to the whole week 1 and stuff, I wanted to show you mine on, if I were to have retooled the college playoff bracket just a little bit. There are some differences, and I'm not just talking the two teams that aren't in there. You look a little harder. There's been some other tooling and retooling, and then another thing that we could possibly potentially do just for fun is we can make a blank slate and do maybe a group of 5 playoff and have fun and just mess with it, because I think the discourse around do teams like Tulane and JMU, do they deserve to be in the playoffs in the future? That's going to get really loud, and that's going to be a talking point, and that's going to be a discussion in the off season. If Ole Miss gets blown out by Georgia next week, and if Oregon gets blown out by Texas Tech next week, because I mean, it's kind of, I can see it be a point of emphasis where Cougar fans or Vandy fans would be like, hell, we would have put up a bigger fight against Oregon, and maybe we could have beat Texas Tech if we were in Oregon's shoes. Or, I mean, I'll say it right now. I got no shame. Do I think Notre Dame could have beat Oregon? Probably. Would it have been closer than this game? Yeah, most definitely. But there's parts of me that, okay, if Notre Dame get through Oregon, or if Notre Dame if Notre Dame or Vanderbilt or whoever did get through Oregon or Ole Miss, there's parts of me that go, maybe Notre Dame and Texas Tech, maybe that game would have been, I don't know, maybe the Irish, okay, we look at the bracket, okay, forget about JMU right here. Okay, actually, in fact, look at this. Let's go over here. Okay, let's move them up here. Maybe there would have been just realignment or something. But, yeah. Maybe Notre Dame goes right here. Maybe they beat Texas Tech, and oh my gosh. Look at this. We got Georgia and Notre Dame facing off in the semifinals. Again, a rematch of last season in the Sugar Bowl. Who knows? I don't. What's the score now? I haven't looked at the score in a while. 26-48. All right. It's 4th and 21. Sappington's going to kick a field goal. But I think they're going to take a timeout first. Quick timeout. Okay, but so my reaction. Okay, let's jump into it now. Some of the things that I think with my reaction, I think we had a lot of good football games this weekend. I think the best game I'm gonna have to give it to Alabama versus Oklahoma. I really think, and it pains me to say because I am a Sooner fan, dude. I don't know if we're ever gonna win a game. I really don't know, considering that we were up 17-0, and then just a slow burn of we are the 28-3 Falcons, and so huge props to Alabama for coming back and winning that game. I'd be a little nervous if I was an Indiana fan, considering you never know about Bama, because I wrote them off. A lot of people wrote them off, and then all of a sudden now we might have big old Bama and old-fashioned Alabama against the Hoosiers here in the Rose Bowl when they play next week. Let's break down some of the stats. Okay, hold on. Okay, maybe they're a little closer than I expected. I do think losses probably go towards the resume. A couple less touchdown passes. But I will say, Simpson, gutsy, if I want to put gutsy as like a metric to measure them by, I would say Mendoza's got that killer instinct. I mean, look at the Penn State game. For me, it kind of could equal out because Bama came back from 17 down. Not everybody can do that. Clearly, James Madison couldn't do it tonight. Tulane couldn't do it today, this afternoon against Ole Miss. So not everybody can do that. Let's look at the last handful. Bama's lost 2 out of their last 5. Indiana's been undefeated going into it. I like looking at the little circles too. Look at this. Where Indiana 69, 69%. Okay, now let's roll now. Let's look at some other scores from the games that we saw today. We know what happened earlier today at Kyle Field, the defense masterclass that happened today. It was a damn good game. I don't care about the score. I don't care how it happened. Just the fact. Okay, hold on. Timeout for 2 seconds. Let's see if Atticus Sappington can kick a field goal and extend the lead to 51-26. 51-26 right now. 51-26. Fourth and 21 to make it 51-26. Ooh. Ooh, there we go, right down the middle, baby. That is something that did not happen in the first couple games. What was... Hold on, whoa. There's a stat there I just missed. See this little nugget here. Touchdown interception ratio 4-0. Morris had a pretty clean game, but yeah, in the short yardage, he has thrown 2 interceptions. That's the other reason why James Madison is hanging around in this game. Oregon has had turnovers in this second half. They played a clean half of football in the first half to run up the score on him, 5 straight touchdowns to blow this thing out of the water. Benson had a big first half, and then all of a sudden Moore been feeling generous, giving turnovers, and yeah. Anyways. 14 yards or fewer. 2 interceptions. Most deep pass touchdown in a game in a career. Yeah, all of the touchdowns too were deep strikes. That's another thing too. So there's 4:22 left in this game. 51-26. The Oregon Ducks going to push out some push-ups here. Yikes. Don't want to be the Oregon Duck right now. Doing push-ups. All right. Ooh, good comment. Yes. Group of 6 teams should have a path to the college football playoff, but it can't be automatic. I agree. If they want in, they need to beef up their schedule and beat real Power 5. Yes. Level 2 approved. Yes. Because a lot of people, I don't know if it was the commenter on during the Tulane game, but one of them was talking about, no, it was On3. I was watching the On3 podcast where he talked about he's happy that Tulane had a 2-loss season and won their conference and got as far as they got. But we all collectively are like, okay, we knew that this was going to be the outcome of the game. We had fun when we watched it the first time because, look, it's a smaller school going against Ole Miss. We didn't want to see it again. And that's kind of what he was talking about. Although if the G5 had their own playoff, I think it could pull in views and maybe that could help fund their programs. Oh, hell yeah. Like if we're in the business of making money, then this should be a safety. If he came out, I think he fair caught it, brought it out, and nailed it back. That should be a safety. I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, if we are in the business of making money, they're gonna pin him at the 1. Oh my gosh. It's not even fair. It's almost not fair. You know what I will say too, another thing, just my own personal opinion about this broadcast, is the commenters have just been railing on the effort of JMU, or the punt block that got returned for a touchdown. They were calling out one of the gunners, and it's like, that dude also had a touchdown in this game. Garbage time, whatever. But it's like, what, from an effort standpoint, what's JMU supposed to do down at one point? Let's look at the score again. Hold on. Bowl games. No. Get out of the way. Scores. So when they had the blocked, pump blocked. Okay, to make so at this point it's 41-13. You're in the third quarter. What motivational speech can you say to turn it around? You know what I mean? I think it was already long gone from, hey, this comes down to talent and recruiting from the years before and the decades before. Because when you want to look at JMU and where JMU's program is, and you want to look at where Oregon's is, I mean, their best coach, respectfully and arguably, is, Coach Cignetti in recent history. Where is he at right now? He's at Indiana. So, yeah. If the which that's what I wanted to do for fun, is make a little bracket here, because I wanted to go through the standings and I wanted to get some teams here, because I think Navy should be in a bracket, because Navy at one point had the best conference record. Look at this. Navy has the best conference record, but they didn't play in the championship game. I mean, okay. Like Virginia had their chance. They lost the ACC. They had a situation kind of like Iowa State last year, BYU this year, where it's winning you're in. USC and Michigan, same thing. If Michigan would have beat Ohio State, Michigan would have been playing. Well, no, it would have been Oregon then. It would have been Oregon. So if Michigan would have won, but then Washington would have beat Oregon in the last week, then that's who would have been. Like, okay, you take Kennesaw State, who has 10-4. Maybe we should hold on. Let's start getting some of these. In here. Here we go. Let's get some logos going here. So we gotta have the Kennesaw State logo. Alright. Who else is? And then you know what? UConn went 9-3. Hell yeah, let's put UConn in there, because UConn did have a good year, all things considered. Because UConn's more known for basketball. Oh, and I've heard the cope for the basketball angle. Breakaway touch. Ooh, down at the one. I've heard the angle of people talking about, this isn't basketball. If it was basketball, maybe the games would be closer. Okay, a 10-4 Western Michigan should be in. Yeah, okay. Western Michigan. I like their Bronco logo more. Let's do the Bronco logo instead of the big W. Okay. Okay, this looks good. Look at it so far. Yeah. Okay, let's go back here. Let's do. Am I muted? Okay, good. I'm not muted. I was getting worried where it's like, oh frick, doing all this talking. There's been more than one time. Boise. Who won the Mountain West? Boise State did against UNLV. Okay, so then you get Boise State in here. Boise State. Okay. Boise State. Okay, who else? Navy. Oh, I didn't put Navy in. I didn't put Navy or Tulane in. Hold on. Put Tulane. Okay, then after Tulane, Navy, right? I said Navy. Yes, I said Navy. No, not that Navy logo. The classic one. Midshipman. It's like actually pulling up the, you know, the Armed Forces Navy logo, and it's like, not that one. The other one. Okay. We're almost there. We're almost there. Look at this. Look at this. It's coming together. It's coming together. And then we'll do. Let's look at the standings. I'm not gonna put the bowls. Bulls had an awesome season, but no. ACC no, Big 12 no, Big 10 no. And maybe for people who watched Conference USA to a T and watched every game, could be like, okay, you need to put Western Kentucky in there because they beat Kennesaw State or something like that. And again, we'd get there when we get there. Boise State. I would throw a Pac-12 team in there if they had a winning record. Which this is going to be a fun, awkward conversation. But what happens when Washington State or Oregon State next year goes 10-2? There's no conference championship game. That's like, do they get that big, you know, the bid? Large bid. James Madison. Could we put Old Dominion in as well? Let's put James Madison in. JMU. And then let's put, well, I don't know. Hold on. JMU maybe, oh, no. Let's use this logo. This logo looks a little more clear. I don't know how many logos I actually have here. Because numerically, I got to make it look good, too. Because numerically, it's like, whoa, you have not enough teams. Okay, so we got, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 6, 7. Okay, I only have 7 teams. We need one more. So then, okay, watch how I unorganizingly do this. Okay, let's, okay, we move this over here. Okay, so we have our 7 teams. Let's go get one more. And then when we're looking at final standings, okay, should we put Old Dominion? So Old Dominion's 10-3. We can put Old Dominion at 10-3 in there. We can put UNLV at 10-3. We can put, because again, I'm looking just strictly at record. I'm not looking at strength of schedule. Not looking at what they did in the conference, because clearly that doesn't matter. Not looking at any of the Big 12 or the ACC teams. You know what? Let's put North Texas. Look, 11-2, and they were the runners up. So we'll put North Texas. Put North Texas. North Texas. Okay, so North Texas would get in over Old Dominion in my little playoff here. And then all the people would probably be really upset, which I get that. I understand that. Okay, now, from an objective standpoint, here we go. So we're over here. Get rid of this. Okay, so let's put Tulane, because Tulane won the American. So here's a conference winner. Hold on, just let me cook here for a second. Then I'd put Navy. Because Navy has a better conference win, and they have one less win, but like, because this is what it was with the Bears and how the Bears were like the number 1 seed, because, you know, the Rams lost that week to the Panthers, and so everybody moved up. Well, because North Texas was the last team to lose, they'll move down. So let me put Navy here at 2. Okay. And then let's roll down a little bit. Kennesaw, they won theirs, but they're 10-4. We'll put them a soft 2. UConn, I'm going to have them floating. I'm going to have them floating just because they're independents. Okay. 10-4 as well. So we could have Western Michigan sit over here at 10-4. Now, does JMU have... Boise State has the most... Yeah, Boise State has the most loss. So even though they won a conference, they're down here. They are a wild card of wild card teams. Okay? And then let's go... JMU 12-1. So JMU would be the number 1 overall seed. Okay? JMU would be right here. Okay, number 1 seed, and then Tulane would be the number 2 seed. Okay, so we'll go number 1 and then number 2. Okay, now, trying to look here. Did JMU score another touchdown? Okay, so JMU scored another touchdown, making it 30 something. $32-51. $32-51 for those that care. I'm going to lose my shit if JMU wins this game. A good catch. Good catch. I'll give it to him. Because half the stadium's empty. Half the stadium's empty. Okay, Western Michigan, 10-4. 10-2. So 11-2. So then Western Michigan would not be ranked higher than North Texas. North Texas would be ranked higher if we're looking at it from that point of view. And then I guess we could have UConn sit wherever. Okay, so then we have the 1 seed, the 2 seed. The 3 seed could be Navy. The 4 seed could be North Texas. The 5 seed could be UConn. The 6th seed, the 7th, and then the 8th seed. Okay, so yeah, 1 seed. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Crap, now I gotta reorganize it. 1, 2, then Tulane, you guys partner up here. 3 seed goes with Kennesaw. Okay, and then we have you two partner up here. Okay, I know. It doesn't make sense logically how I'm breaking this down. Okay, but then from here, because no team gets a bye, which I think the playoffs might get to that point where no team has a bye. Okay, so the 1 and the 2, the 1 and the 8 seed play each other. Okay, and then the this bracket makes no sense. This bracket makes absolutely no sense. Okay, onside kick recovered by... Okay, this looks a little bit better. Not that much, but okay. This is how I would break down the bracket. And so then, from here, if I were to predict it, yeah, Tulane would probably be playing Navy. And then the winner out of Tulane and Navy, honestly, I'd probably pick Navy. And then at JMU and North Texas, probably JMU. And so in our national championship game, we'd probably have JMU versus Navy. If this is how it would play out. I don't know. Again, I know it doesn't make any sense. Looks disgusting to look at. I know it's not aesthetically pleasing to the eye like one of these brackets. Here, let's see if this fits in here. Did it work? Oh, I can zoom in a lot more. How about now? Okay, Oregon's taking a knee here. Okay. Yep. Okay, but this would be my second, where if you were in the ACC and you stunk it up, you don't get to earn and try to mosey your way into this second group. Like, I have a feeling that this because I think there's three levels of football. Respectfully, I think there's D1 football, obviously, where because look at Montana and Montana State. Could Montana State or Montana could they put up an entertaining fight against JMU? So we have that level because I mean there was one time where people were joking and debating when Carson Wentz was in college and dominating with North Dakota State, where it's like, oh, these guys could hang with, and it's like it's a little different type of football. And again, everything's changed, which considering where JMU and how they've moved up in division football, pretty cool. So props to them. So, but you have that level. You have the group of five level. You're Cincinnati before they moved to the Big 12. Your Mountain West teams like the Utah State, the Boise State, San Diego State, a lot of the state teams that are now going to the Pac-12. And then from there, then it turns into big boy football where everybody hates the SEC, which I get that, but like you have the SEC, the Big 12, ACC, Big 10, and at one point too the Pac-12, which them getting rid of the Pac-12. It's a whole video for a whole nother time. But I think with what the FCS has, with how they have their own bracket and level playing field, to me it would make sense to probably get to a position where they could do something like this. Where, I mean, we saw it today. Okay, yeah, JMU scored 34 points, but at one point we couldn't deny the score was 48-13. Okay. Maybe one day this will be what college football turns into. I don't know, but how you were talking about like making money. Oh, this would make so much more money. I don't see how people would complain. I think people would complain where it's like, oh, you're in this invitational tournament. You're not in the real thing. Like, let us in the real thing. I can see how people would argue about that, but wouldn't you want to see the success of Tulane or of JMU, where we saw how they've, just ran through their own conference and played good? Wouldn't you want to see these two teams meet up in their own version of a national championship? That's my take on it, but here we go. Let's look at this fun bracket of mine at least one more time. Whoops. We'll let that there. No. And then we got this bracket. So now the bracket is officially more up to date. Oregon moves on, the Hurricanes move on, and Ole Miss moves on. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, to say the least, to see the arguments that people start to make as we go forward. But there's the final in this one, 34-51. Guys, I have not looked at the chat in a hot minute. Let me look at the chat. Whoa, I haven't looked at the chat in a hot minute. Sorry, guys. I was too busy making my stupid little... Not stupid, but my little bracket here thing. Although Jim Morrison is the coach at UConn. That's why they're good. Oh, I didn't know that. Because, again, from an objective standpoint, I have not been following UConn football at all this season. All I've known is every time you look at independents, because at one point BYU was there with, UMass and Notre Dame and UConn, you're like, oh, man, the only independent team that is good is Notre Dame. Except that one 2020 season where BYU was really good. Okay. Hope JMU continues this success under Sunbelt Billy. Yeah. And there's the other thing. Because I'm just going to call balls and strikes here and see how it is. Dude, if Billy Napier waited a week before he signed his deal at JMU, you know damn well he would have gone to Michigan. And you know that everybody would have been like, oh, he's going to Michigan. And everybody would have made those predictions and those reactions after the Sherrone Moore firing. And I'll be real, I don't think Sunbelt Billy is going to stay with JMU. Kirk Cignetti didn't. And, I mean, Lane Kiffin didn't even stay with Ole Miss, and they were winning. He went to the LSU job. So I think it'd be hard. It'd be hard to try to pitch recruits to come to James Madison. And the case in point, people would point to these two games that just happened, where it's like, hey, I'm the greatest coach there ever was. My name is Billy Napier, or my name is who's the guy at Tulane? I don't even remember it off the top of my head. was like, I'm the greatest coach ever. Come play for me. And it's like, well, we just saw what happened to Tulane, and we just saw what happened to JMU, where the talent level did not match each other, and then we had 2 blowout games. And parts of me think that even if you go undefeated, and even if you have all these stacked, they even compared at the beginning of the telecast for the game, they compared 5-star and 4-star athletes over the last handful of seasons for JMU versus Oregon. Dude, Oregon had over 200. I can't remember the exact number, but JMU had 0. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So you have all these 5 stars playing for Oregon, and then it's like, JMU, how many 5 stars do you have? So, anyways, Navy didn't make the AAC championship because their conference uses division winners, not overall record, and Navy didn't win its division. They didn't, but there was one point with about a week left to go. They were at the top. How do you feel as a Sooners fan about Texas and OU leaving the Big 12 for the SEC? I think it started the snowball effect of what eventually not ruined college football, but I mean, Oregon, look at it from this point of view. Oregon was a Pac-12 team. They won the Big Ten in their first year. Arizona State was a Pac-12 team. They won the Big 12 in their first year. The Pac-12 team was fine. It had decent teams that could go and compete. Just the problem is with how the playoff format was for the first handful of years is if you lose one game, you're done unless you're Notre Dame or Alabama. But the problem is there was so much parity where any given Friday night, USC could be undefeated. But then, okay, you go to Pullman, you play Washington State, and then, oh, they have something, up their sleeve for you, and then you walk out of there with a loss. And then because they lose something, the conference, yeah. But I think the Pac-12 ended the right way, though, with having Washington and Oregon playing for a shot to get to the college playoff that year. Michael Penix was a Heisman finalist. Bo Nix was a Heisman finalist. So I think the Pac-12 ended on a high note. But considering the success of what we've seen Washington do, Oregon do, USC, Arizona State, all the teams that left the Pac-12, if it would have just stayed together, they'd still be competing for. I'd argue and say they'd be, as much as people were clowning on the Pac-12 for, oh, this isn't a real conference, these guys suck. They wouldn't be the butt end of every joke. It'd be the ACC, and people would be comparing, because right now everybody thinks the SEC and the Big Ten are up here, and then everything is subpar. Well, I think if the Pac-12 was still around, Pac-12's up here. But, I digress. John Summerall. Yes, that's his name. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I know a lot of it's big TV deals and all that stuff, but, I think the other thing, too, problem-wise, is that, and look at the ACC, and look at the ACC championship. The problem with having way too many teams in a conference is you get teams like Duke. Now, Duke beat Virginia. Okay, whatever. But there was a 5-way tie for second place. Because there was a 5-way tie for second place, and Duke was the last team to win because Georgia Tech lost their last one. So, just mathematically, everybody that was above them dropped. And so everybody had a tie. I believe they're all 6-2 in conference, but then Virginia had the one loss, which is why they were first. So Miami, Georgia Tech, Duke. You know what? Let me show you guys the tie. Okay, here we go. SMU, that was the other team too. But look at this. Freaking look at this. That's the other little problem about college football is there's way too many teams in each conference. I'd keep the ACC how it was, but I'd put Cal. I would have put Cal. I'd have kept Cal in the Pac-12, or moved Cal to the Big 12. But yeah. So the Big 12 conference 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16. The problem is the Big 12 conference has 16 teams. And I think the Big 10 has 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 18 teams. 18 teams in a conference named after the fact that at one point they had 10 teams. It's just funny. It makes me laugh. But what I will say, that's kind of like, you know what? Good on Oregon for being in it. Good on USC on being in it. Look at all these other Big Ten teams that have been in the Big Ten forever that Oregon is better than, or that USC or Washington. They're better than the Illini, Minnesota, Nebraska, now Penn State. Put a little asterisk by this. This was a weird season for Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. And never, and I mean never, should Wisconsin, who's been in the Big Ten forever and been to Big Ten championship games and all that, never should the Washington Huskies be better than them, ever. But, I mean, recruiting, coaching, all the above is why it's like this. Because, yeah, I've never seen Purdue. I've never seen Maryland. I have seen Michigan State and Wisconsin be successful. I've never seen the Rutgers be successful. Penn State last year was successful. But, so Oregon and USC have proven they belong. Same with Washington, kind of. They've proven that they can hang with the big boys, because look at that record. These records are no slouch. But then at the same time, could you imagine if you put the Pac-12 teams back in the Pac-12, how much more of a it would have ended up being Oregon USC in the Pac-12 championship game. I'm just going to logically use that math there, because where are my other... So let's look at my other Pac-12 teams. Hold on. 10-2. Okay, maybe it would have been Utah, Oregon. Did Cal have a better? No. Let me look. Where's their other Pac-12 team? No. Colorado, no. Arizona State, 8-5, no. Arizona, 9, no. Where's our other Pac-12 teams? Hey, it beats going 6-6. Sorry, I feel bad for laughing. Because the Pac-12 got screwed the most. And what I feel bad too is that these two teams got screwed the most. Because it's like nobody wants us. And it sucks. Okay, let's go back to the chat. I looked at the chat in a minute. Damn, okay, hold on. Let me keep up here. Can't blame coaches for leaving. Better pay, yep. Being able to land better recruits, yep. Can actually make the job easier in a way. Oh, yeah. Which is, I heard a talking point today that Arizona State, even though they weren't as successful this season, it was a better coaching year for Kenny Dillingham, considering how many games they won with the roster that he put out there. Because how many games did Sam Levitt miss this season? Or Jordan Tyson, how many times were they injured? It's kind of like how Dollar Tree's shit ain't Dollar Tree anymore, yeah. Washington had success with DeBoer. I don't know if they'll get back to that level for a while, though. Probably not. And considering... I'm just going to throw this out there. Considering that Fish left, because there was a lot of carousel and a lot of movement just with Nick Saban leaving Alabama, and how big, of all the coaching carousels that changed, because Saban retired, and so that moved DeBoer from Washington to Bama, and then Fish from Arizona to Washington, and there's so much. I think there was a graph out there that 11 coaching changes happened because one guy retired. But with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps from Washington to Michigan after some things settle down a little bit over there. Because there's parts of me that think that Michigan's going to go, well, let's look at something here. I don't know what coach, because you look at the college playoff here. I don't know what coach would leave. Nope. What coach that's still in the dance, because James Madison already has their new coach. Dan Lanning's not leaving. DeBoer's not leaving. Venables isn't leaving. He's already going to Florida. He's got the Florida job. They already got Golden. Elko's not leaving because he signed a new deal. Cristobal? Could Mario Cristobal leave? Maybe. Could Miami do what Michigan did with Harbaugh's last year? They go on this run, they win the national championship, and then he jumps ship? Maybe. Because he's not leaving. Cignetti's not leaving. With how fun and delusional Michigan fans have been, he's not leaving Indiana. Kirby Smart ain't leaving. Because Georgia, and then Ryan Day's not leaving Ohio State. Why would Ryan Day leave Ohio State to go to Michigan? Hello? Is there any... what? Hello? We call it a rivalry. We call it the game. And then to automatically just jump ship and be like, nope, I don't want to be here. But it's been fun to see the delusion of Michigan fans being like, oh, we're going to get him. Parts of me think an NFL coach would come in. Maybe a Gruden. I don't know. I have no clue who'd replace him. But whoever it is, it's got to be a big name because it's the Michigan job. Open the chat back up. Washington had success with the board. Yes. You're not going to poach a top coach like that. That's why I always think it's crazy when people, what has he won? When a new coach is hired. Yeah, no. There's no. We're already way too deep into the postseason for coaches to get, taken. Which is why I think it would be funny. Which is why we kind of laugh that Penn State. Because, like, how many... Because think if you're Coach Franklin. Well, no, he wouldn't jump from Penn State to Michigan, though. But, like, I'm just thinking of, like, all the coaches that have left. Well, could Dabo Swinney be fired at Clemson and then go to Michigan? No, that wouldn't happen. No, that would not happen. There's been so much movement. And like Penn State, Campbell was probably their 6th option, 5th option. Like I know, because everybody's top option was Lane Kiffin, obviously. But I think I'm curious to how many, like with all the coaching changes that happened, I'm curious to how many of them after Michigan fired their coach, or how many agents who were like agents to help the coach, like Billy Napier, go to JMU, go, shit, we should have waited another week because Moore got fired overnight, which nobody saw that coming, but apparently a lot of people in-house did see it coming, but nobody from the normal media side saw it coming. So, all right, guys, we'll wrap up the stream here. That's kind of like my full breakdown. Just kind of get a reaction and a review from everybody on if the Group of 5 team deserves to still be in the playoff. I'm interested to see where the committee goes forward from here. I'm wary of these NFL guys because a lot of them, not all, struggle when they drop down to the college level. Yeah, Mike Shula, Bill. Oh my gosh, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick might be the next Michigan head coach. Let's be careful here. But some had success, like Joe Brady, Matt Patricia, Nick Saban. Oh yeah, no, and yeah, Nick Saban, of course, is the outlier here, where it's like, yeah. Which, how funny is it that Cleveland had arguably the two best head coaches of all time with Belichick and Saban, and how many? Never mind. Too soon. Okay. All right, guys. We will end the stream here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Let's see what the committee does or where we go from here, because there's a lot. I have seen a lot of outcry all over social media on how, man, they don't belong. Playoffs should have been something else. These were not that's the other thing. 12 best teams. These were not the 12 best teams. There should have been other teams in there. We'll see what they do. Let's go right here. Let's pull this back up here. Do I have a... Yes, I do have a... Okay. I just had to double check. Right person, wrong timing type of situation. Oh, yeah. But, anyways, we'll end the stream here. Give me a couple minutes. I'm thinking it is still a little early. We might do a late night gaming stream. Play some video games a little bit later. But thank you guys for hanging out. Shout out to you, man, for good conversations, good questions and stuff. We'll see. I'll probably give a reaction when we find out who Michigan's next head coach is. It's probably going to break the internet. Parts of me also think, okay, just out of just sheer pettiness, okay, Michigan probably knows who they want to hire, but they're not going to announce it. Okay, watch this. They don't announce it till Miami upsets and beats Ohio State and knocks them out of the playoff. Watch that be when they post. Because something tells me that just with the rivalry of how the rivalry is, Michigan's not going to say anything and not post anything on there who they're hiring until Ohio State loses. Just to kind of like drop the mic on them. Just kind of a slam dunk of, oh, you just lost to Miami by a field goal. Guess what? We just hired John Gruden. Boom, baby. Or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, guys, we will catch you in another stream. But thanks for hanging out. This was round 1 of the college football playoff. Be sure to leave a like and a sub. I'll catch you guys in another stream. Peace.